Wow. Welcome back to another episode of Resting Bitch with Ali Macofsky. Who thought this podcast train would have kept choo-chooing up to episode 15 already, right? Episode 15. I mean, here we are. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm still doing this, and it's even crazier. It's crazier that people listen to it, and not only that, but listen to it and like it. Because I know there's a couple of you out here who are listening, but just so you can hate me. Maybe that's not true. But I'm sure there's like one or two salty people that are just, angrily masturbating to my voice. And I do it for everyone. This is for all of you. I was watching, my buddy just posted this YouTube video of me and him, Mike Falzone. Check out his YouTube page. But he posted this video that we did together. Kind of like, I don't know. It's not a podcast. It was just, I don't know. But I was watching a little bit of it today because I'm like, I wonder how he edited it. Because it was a 14-minute video, I think. And we recorded for like an hour. So I'm watching a little bit of it. And boy, do I sound terrible. Like, I know that I have this voice and that it's like not, the most like, just warm. It's not the warmest voice, but I really sound so annoying all the time. So that's why when people come up to me, few people, just a few, not too many, but when people do come up to me in public and say that they like my podcast or that they listen to it, I just want to like massage their ears and say I'm sorry. But thanks for listening to it anyways. I think I want to go to, something that would be fun, maybe not fun, but interesting perhaps, would be to go to a dialect coach. Someone who like helps me talk differently. Whoever Shia LaBeouf is going to, because he always sounds different every time I see interviews of him. He always has a new accent. Or whoever Lindsay Lohan goes to, she always has a new accent. You know who I love? Lady Gaga. She just has all these different accents where you're like, you're not even like doing a nation's accent. Like, you can't pin it down to a region or area. I think that's just what happens when you travel so much and are also so famous. You can just be like, well, this is a hybrid of 3 different places I was just in. I don't know what it is. Madonna did that too. I think I'm gonna do that. I wonder how much it would be. Huh. I'm not like a part of Sober October or anything. That's like Joe Rogan, Ari Shaffir, Bert Kreischer, and Tom Segura's thing. But I was just watching Tom Segura's video where he's shooting. And he was saying how this year for their Sober October, they're like taking classes in something. Now, I wasn't invited to participate, but I will do my own. Maybe I will do dialect coaching. And just say that I'm a part of Sober October. They won't know. None of them are really checking my social media, I don't think. Can't imagine they're browsing my Instagram stories. But it would be cool to go to a dialect coach because I don't think that this is my natural voice. I mean, it is how I talk all the time, 24/7. But I feel like it's masking something. It feels like this voice is like a defense mechanism. I'm like, well, if I sound uninterested already, then whatever you do isn't gonna faze me. But I don't like this voice. But could you imagine like people knowing me with this voice and then all of a sudden, one day, I'm just like, hey guys, welcome to Resting Bitch. My name's Ali Macofsky. Where my dum-dums at? Like, that would be so scary. Like, remember when you were a kid and something, like, changed with one of your parents? Whether it was, like, your dad either grew a beard or he shaved his beard. Or, like, I remember my grandma, she wasn't living with us at the time, but she had to get this like eye surgery. And so she was staying with us when she recovered, but she had these like two black eyes, and she just looked so out of it that I was scarred from seeing her. I would like cry when I saw her. So fucked up. My grandma has the craziest story. She died when she was 94, I believe. I think I was a senior in high school when she passed away. So this was 2013, I think. Yeah, this was 2013 when she died. And she died on her birthday. That's like the greatest gift of all time. When you're that old, you're like, this is what I'm getting for myself on my birthday. It's a nice trip to the abyss. I think it's kind of sweet and poetic. So she died on her birthday. It wasn't like, she was 94. Maybe even 96. Who knows? I think at a certain point, it's like, why are we counting? What are we doing? Yeah, she was up there. But she had such a crazy, interesting life. And I feel like some of you might not believe me with this, but this is just like a story that I've heard from my mom, who is my grandmother's daughter. I don't know if you know how the family tree works, but that is ours. And I wish, like, everyone says this about their, like, one of their family members. You should write a book about your life. There's always, like, one, I don't know, at least in my family, there's always, like, one person where people are like, you just need to write a biography. I mean, this would be interesting. Okay, so my grandma was old as fuck. So she grew up a long-ass time ago. And when she was born fully deaf. She was just born deaf. Like, not, like, kind of hearing, but lost it. Like, she was just born deaf. And if you're born deaf and no one tells you you're deaf, you're just gonna assume that everyone else is deaf. That's like when you can hear, naturally, you just assume that everyone else can hear until you meet someone who is deaf, perhaps. You see them doing sign language in line at Subway, ordering a sandwich, or writing down their order on a piece of paper, and you go, oh, maybe they can't hear. But you just assume initially that everyone can hear if that's your experience. So my grandma was born deaf. And back then, people used to call it deaf and dumb, which is not woke to say today, and also just not true, because my grandma was deaf, but she was also very smart. It's not the same thing, and is unnecessary to say. It's also too long, so even if you do meet someone who is deaf and does happen to be dumb, you could just say that they're dumb. My grandma was just deaf. She was very smart. But yeah, they used to call it that. Like, there was like this big stigma around being deaf. Like, people really thought that if you were deaf, you were dumb. They would call you that. And my grandma's mother, aka my great-grandmother, was a crazy bitch. My middle name is from her. I'm giving you so much back. This is like so much information. It's not funny. I just find it very interesting. This is what happens when you're my age. My nose is like, I'm so annoyed because everyone around me is getting sick, and I'm about to go to London in a freaking week. Okay? I get to London on the 14th. I don't want to get sick, and I feel fine, but my allergies have been bad, and that's what everyone says who is getting a cold. They always say, oh, it's my allergies. But it is my allergies, unless it is a cold, which it very well could be. You know what also is really annoying? Sorry, I keep wiping my nose so disgustingly. You know what else is annoying? I checked my period app, the app that tracks my period. What a crazy app that we are able to have. And it says, also, it's very wrong a lot of the time. It always makes me think I'm pregnant, even if I've been celibate for a month. I'm like, it says I'm 7 days late. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm having this child. I guess I'm just having this child that who's the father? Who knows? I just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% pregnant. apparently based on this app. But if this app is correct, I'm supposed to be starting my period the day I get to London. You know how annoying that is? That's so messed up. That's so messed up. It better, oh my god, if it it's just such a hassle. Because especially in London, it's going to be cold, so I'm going to be wearing a lot of layers. And if I have to go to the bathroom a lot, that means I'm going to have to be taking off a lot of layers, putting the layers back on. I want to... What if I want to bone some British dudes? Oh my god. British people for sure aren't into period stuff. There's no way. They seem too, nervous about everything. Anyway. Okay, so back to my grandma being deaf and a powerful queen that we all stan. So her mom, my great-grandmother Catherine, which is my middle name, and why I'm crazy, because my mom manifested that bitch's craziness into my name. She was actually mentally unwell. She was not chill. She was a little bit better when she had my grandma, but when she had this baby and found out that the baby is deaf, she did not tell my grandma. So my grandma had no idea that she was deaf. I don't know how you go on for so long not knowing you're deaf, because she could read lips very well. I mean, that's what happens. If you're just not told anything, you just adapt to your environment. So she could just read people's lips, which was really helpful when I came into the world because I didn't have to learn sign language. I mean, I know the alphabet and stuff like that, but my grandma was always really good at reading lips, and she could also talk. And it did sound like a little not normal, but, a lot of people have this, there's people do impressions, bad ones, of deaf people, and they always sound very extreme. If it's an impression, obviously it's going to be the most extreme. But my grandma could really pretty much talk. It just sounded like she had a little bit of a speech impediment. If we'd be out at lunch, she'd be like, "Can I have the fork?" And it would always sound like she was saying fuck. And it was really cute because she was so old and wrinkly and pure and innocent. But she goes all of her young adult life not realizing that she was deaf. I mean, it's she knew she couldn't hear, but if you can't hear, you just assume that no one else can hear. And so she goes to regular school. Her mom doesn't put her in any special classes. I don't even know if they offered that. But she would have to constantly go to summer schools and things like that. I wish I knew more information because it does sound like I'm making this up. But whatever. If you guys have questions about this, message me on Resting Bee Podcast or Resting Bee Pod, the podcast Instagram, and I will ask my mom to answer the questions if I'm leaving it vague or weird or confusing. So this is how my grandma found out that she was deaf. Okay? She's living in San Francisco. She's 19, 20, 21, something like that. I mean, that was probably the year it was too, 19, 20, or 21. But she's living in San Francisco. She's in her 20s, young 20s. Her and her sister are waiting for the train. And her sister goes, "Oh, the train's coming." And my grandma's like, "No, it's not." Because my grandma doesn't see the train. And her sister's like, yeah, no, I can hear the train. It's coming. And then the train comes and my grandma was like, "What? How did you know that the train was about to be here?" And she was like, "I could hear the train." And then, surprise, bitch, you're deaf, And so then she was very stubborn. And I've noticed this with a lot of deaf people that I've met. Obviously, this isn't true for everyone, but a lot of deaf people that I know and that I've met through my grandma and just through life, very stubborn people. Because I think a lot of times people think that you're maybe dumb. And that's just not true. You just can't hear. It's really interesting because blind people, I don't think that's not necessarily the stigma, but there's something about hearing where people just imagine that you need more help. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think because of that, because people may be responding to their deafness as like some sort of weakness or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it kind of makes them want to grow a tougher skin and be more stubborn and be like, I can do this. But yeah, my grandma was a very stubborn woman, but also just an angel. So shout out to my grandma. She would not like this podcast at all. She'd be watching the YouTube, reading my lips, just being like, this crazy bitch. So, anyway, I think because, you know how people ask, like when you're younger, it's like, oh, would you rather be deaf or blind? Like, if you had to be one. I think because my grandma was deaf and she made it seem like very easy and normal to live with, I would probably say deaf. Blind seems like just so much more difficult. I mean, I don't know. That would be hard. Yeah. What else? I really went off on a tangent there. I was not expecting to. That's how we got this bad bitch started, I guess. What did I do this week? What did I do? I wrote it down. Oh, I got car insurance. I've had car insurance multiple times, but the thing with car insurance is that I don't think anyone really wants you to have car insurance. My dad got a letter in the mail saying that my vehicle was going to be suspended, or my registration or something. So pretty much, I think what that means is that my car could have gotten towed if they saw it out and about, because there was no proof of insurance. I thought I had insurance. Well, no, that's not true. I had insurance. I knew I didn't renew it, and I thought I was just going to kind of ride on that for a while, but then that letter came in the mail and I had to do something about it. But car insurance is such a scam. It's such a scam. It's a ripoff. It's so expensive. And yeah, it just is so unnecessary. I've been riding dirty for a long time, but I asked the guy on the phone, and by the way, they say those numbers so quickly when they're giving you a quote. They're like, well, if you do it one day, that's going to be this much. They sound like auctioneers. If you buy insurance for one day and one day only, you can pay this much, but if you get it for 6 months, you can pay this much in a year. I'm like, it's all a ripoff. It's all a ripoff. So just take my money. I want to pay for as many months and years as possible, so I don't have to do this bullshit again. So then I pay for the thing. I pay for it. It's way more expensive than I thought it would be. But then I talked to my friends and I asked them how much they're paying for insurance, and it's really not that bad. But it's just crazy how much money people pay for some BS insurance, and then you get in an accident and it's like, it's not even that helpful. I don't know. I just got like the liability insurance. I got it from one of those commercials where they're singing about the insurance. That's how you know the insurance company is bad, when they're making up raps about the insurance. They don't care about your car or your life in that car. So it's pretty cheap. But I pay for 6 months because he's telling me that if I do 6 months and then every 6 months I renew it, it'll go down. And I'm like, sure, whatever you say, buddy. Your job is fake. You're whatever. So he was very nice. So Pedro, if you're listening, you were very nice and helpful. But when I paid for it, I said, okay, so are you guys gonna like call me or text me or like send me an email when it's time to renew? He was like, no, we're gonna just send something in the mail. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Did you think I was 70? Do you think I was 70 years old? Because I'm actually 24, and I'm never going to renew it. If it's coming through the mail, I'm not renewing it. So figure out a new way to have people update it. They don't want people to be on top of it. So what I did This is how I'm learning, how I'm growing, how I'm improving. I have a long way to go because I'm still kind of a mess. And by kind of, I mean definitely a huge mess. But a big thing that has helped me in this life and what I've learned over the course of the past 4 years, I would say, put everything in your calendar. If someone DMs you, like, hey, if you're free Tuesday, let's get lunch. And you kind of are like, okay, yeah, let's check in that day. I put it in my calendar. Tuesday, early morning, check in with person who DM'd me about lunch today. And then I have another event in my calendar in case we do get lunch, 1 p.m., lunch with that person, ? Just in case, ? I don't know if it's for sure or not. So anyway, after I paid for this dumbass insurance, I put it in my calendar 6 months from now, in a week before whatever day I called and paid for it. Make sure you renew your insurance, dumb bitch. So hopefully I check my calendar that day. But yeah, I got lucky. I've been riding dirty for a long time. And you know what's crazy? This is white privilege. I got pulled over for speeding, and it was right, I'm pretty sure I did not have insurance. But your girl, Ali Macofsky, is a great actress. And when the cop asked for license and registration, I gave him my license. I'm looking for my registration, and I'm pretty sure registration is separate than insurance. So I show him my registration. It takes me a minute to find it. I'm pretty sure I showed him that. And then he came back to my car, and he was like, do you have proof of insurance? And I was like, yes, of course. So I'm looking around my car. My car's a mess at this point, and I'm like, kind of making like small banter with him. I'm like, my dad would be so embarrassed if he saw my car right now. This cop looks like he could have been a father. So I was trying to just relate to him, like, oh, look at it, I could be your daughter, and don't you feel bad for pulling me over? And so I'm like, oh, my car's such a mess. How embarrassing. My dad would be so disappointed in me. I'm looking around everywhere. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I renewed it on my phone. And he was like, which insurance is it? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I renewed it with Progressive, but it might be Geico. I'm not sure. Let me just check my emails. And so he's writing me the ticket. He comes back. He's like, do you have it? I'm like, I can't find it. I don't know what happened, but like, I just renewed it. Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I trust you. I was like, okay. And then I just left. I still got a ticket, but like, that is when people are like, white privilege doesn't exist. It's like, it definitely does. It definitely does. And so, I got it. But you know what? Here's the thing. I got a ticket and I wasn't even bummed because I hadn't gotten a ticket in a long time, but I have been breaking the law for a long time on the road. Not using my turn signal, running red lights. I'm constantly on my phone and driving. I know it's not good. So by the time that I got that ticket, I was like, this is what I deserve. That's like one time I was in Long Beach and I parked at a grocery store parking lot. That's what those parking lots are for parking. Not that many people are going to the grocery store. So I parked there being like, they're not going to check. This is what you're supposed to park in grocery store parking lots. That's why they're so big. So you can park there and go wherever else you want to go. So I park there. I go out to lunch with my friend. I walk back and I don't see my car. And it is weird when you get your car towed. You initially are like, this has to be a prank. Or I have to be losing my mind. And then the third thought is, oh, my car did get towed. And I went inside the grocery store. They're like, we just towed it. I'm like, don't tell me that. And they gave me the number to the towing company, and I called them, and they were like about to close. They're like, we close in 10 minutes. And I was like, I'm 15 minutes away. But then I got there in like 9 minutes. We were speeding. My friend drove me. And if I hadn't gotten there when I did, it would have been so expensive. But the point of the story is that I park illegally constantly. I'm constantly parking in lots of businesses that I'm not going into. So by the time I got towed, I was like, amen. Thank you for doing your job. You finally caught me. I wonder if that's how the Joker feels. I haven't seen it, but I do love Joaquin Phoenix. My favorite has to be Jogging Phoenix. Okay, that didn't work. It worked in conversation 2 nights ago. I thought I'd try it out again. It was more about the context in which we were talking about Joaquin Phoenix, where when I said Jogging Phoenix, it really hit, but I can't remember what we were saying. But I think it's very funny. Another thing I said that night when I came up with the brilliant Jogging Phoenix joke was we were at the store, me, Annie Letterman, and Kyle Dunnigan. Kyle was talking about his dog Olive, who was celebrating a birthday, and I said, oh, like, that's so cute. And he goes, yeah, he has a very ugly dog, okay, but it grows on you, it becomes cute, but when you see it, you're not like, that's a hot dog. Like, especially in LA, there's a lot of like hot, sexy, like scientifically made dogs. This one does look like an extra in one of those, like, what's Men in Black? Yeah, it looks like a deformed Men in Black dog. Like, something's off about it. It has like a small, whatever, it doesn't matter. But he was like, yeah, my dog, Olive is 6. And I go, I think Olive's more of a 4. Man, that really got me the other night. Oh yeah, but I haven't seen the Joker, but I love Joaquin Phoenix. I loved him in Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie. Oh my god, that was like my favorite movie when it came out. Me and my dad bought the greatest hits of Johnny Cash, and it is kind of creepy looking back on it because we would sing the songs together, which is sweet, but you know, I would play June and he would be Johnny, so we were like singing these love songs to each other. Little inappropriate, but not really. I mean, I don't know. We did have a great musical chemistry together. Our voices complemented each other well. Guys love singing like Frank Sinatra or Johnny Cash because it's just easy for them. My sister said I do that too much, the snot thing. I'm sorry, Brittany. I got a lot of mucus, okay? I have allergies and I'm definitely not getting a cold. You know what's so annoying? I used to never be this person and I hated these people. Like, I would be out somewhere and I'd be kind of sick or like, you know, on the last few days of a cold or something. And they'd be like, how are you? And I'd be like, oh, I had this cold. And they'd be like, oh my God, why are you even here? And my sweet friend who lives nearby me, and I won't name names, just, you know, in case people feel strongly about this. I'm not going to name names, but she lives nearby me. And she saw my car at my house. And when she was walking her dog, she was like, hey, are you home? And I was like, yeah. So she comes in. She comes into my home. She's like in my bedroom, sitting on my bed. Her and her dog are there. And she's like, she's coughing. And I'm like, is this bitch sick right now? And she goes, oh yeah, I have a cold. I'm like, get the fuck out of my house. If I were to see you out somewhere, like say we're at the Comedy Store or a show or whatever, okay, fine, you know. But don't come into my house with a sickness. And then I hit her up later that night and was asking her about something. She was like, oh yeah, I think it's getting worse. I'm like, oh great. So it's not even like the end of your cold. It's like it's heightening. Ugh. And I used to never be that person. Like, I don't care. I think it's good to be around people who are like sick and with germs. And I think it's better for you. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. And I still do get sick, but I think there's something good about being exposed to germs. Anyway. But this bitch was all sick up in my house. You know what's so embarrassing? My sister is moving to Arizona. That's not what's embarrassing. It is a little bit for her to move from LA to Arizona, but here's what's embarrassing, actually, on the real. She's moving to Arizona, so she's giving me her old mattress. She can't take it with her. Or she doesn't need to take this one particular mattress with her. And it's a nice mattress. It's more comfortable. And I've had this mattress that I've been sleeping on for 4 years since I was living at home. This is an old mattress. It's lumpy. It's not comfortable at all. It's a bad mattress. So my sister's like, I'm getting rid of this mattress. You can have it. I was like, thank God. I've needed a new mattress for so long. She was like, it's a queen size. Like, it's perfect. It's nice, whatever. I'm like, great. I have a queen size. It's old. I need to get rid of it. So my dad drops it off at my house. He picks it up from my sister's. He drops it off at my house. And I put it on to my bed frame and realized that I have a full-size bed frame. And my old mattress was a full. And so now I have this big-ass mattress that's, like, spilling over. It's so embarrassing. I would rather sleep on the floor than... Because now there's, like, I have to be careful how I sleep because it's just, like, floating on top of this bed frame, not in it. And I don't want to ruin the bed by... It's bad. And now I have to freaking take this... I mean, when I say I have to, I'm definitely having someone help me. Well, you know what's crazy? Okay, so I have to take apart this old bed frame. So if anyone in LA or who's gonna be in LA on Thursday needs a bed frame, I'm getting rid of my full-size bed frame. It's white. It's cute. It's simple. It's IKEA. That should be their slogan. It's white. It's simple. It's cute. It's IKEA. Okay, so I have to get rid of that, and I'm getting the exact same bed frame, but just with a couple more inches wider and longer. It's so annoying. They should just make full-size bed frames that have the option to expand for the, in case you happen to upgrade your lifestyle. So now I have to and I'm having my friend help me. So the day I realized that I was an idiot, when I was a big dum-dum and got the wrong sized mattress from my sister, my buddy, Dan Donahue, at Not Bad Dan on Instagram, he posted on his story, how crazy is this? Just built a bed frame. And I was like, this is a sign that Dan is going to be my little helping hand. So I responded to his Instagram story of him and his little bed frame, and I said, okay, I don't know when you're free, but I need a bed frame built ASAP. So I am going to have him help. When I say have him help me make a bed frame, I mean I'm going to watch him make my bed frame, and I'm going to, give him words of encouragement and support, but the chances of me actually doing much to help this bed frame being made are very slim. I also have a tiny ass room. So it's like, how do we build? I don't know, man. It's stressful. Okay, I know I have no sponsors for this podcast, but if you're listening right now, please tag Liquid Death. They make this water that comes in these like tall boy cans, aluminum cans, and it looks like a Modelo or something. It's very aggressive, but it's just water. And I love it. Because I don't drink, and so it's like fun. It's a fun drink to have at a party because people aren't like, it just looks like a beverage. So it's not, people aren't too suspicious of you. People get weird when you're drinking, like when you're getting turned up on 12 LaCroix at the party, they get concerned. But if you got this tall boy, and it's also just good water, it's in aluminum, so it's not as bad for the environment. It's easier to, I care. No, I do care. But I also just really like it. I like how aggressive the marketing for it is. That was just a side note. I love their water, and I bought 2 cases of it online. And tag them on Instagram and say, Ali, you should sponsor Ali's podcast. Resting Bee Pod. I want to think of other things that I really like. I like MeUndies. I want to get a MeUndies sponsorship. I want to get a Liquid Death sponsorship. What else do I like a lot? Charmin Ultra Strong. That's not true. I don't really like Charmin products. I think it's too much. It's too much. I don't need that much of like material for toilet paper. But I also don't like that thin one. You know when you go to a friend's house and they have that super thin toilet paper and you're like, is everything okay? I thought you were fine, and then I saw your toilet paper and I'm questioning everything. When you see someone with that see-through toilet paper at their home, it's like, were you abused as a child? I don't understand why anyone, unless you just feel like you want to hurt yourself. Like if you used to be a cutter in middle school and then you grew out of that type of self-harm. I mean, having that thin toilet paper is a form of self-harm, and I think should be taken just as seriously as any form of self-harm. I got to see the Jonas Brothers, which was huge for me. The Jonas Brothers, a huge part of my childhood. I mean, wow. They're the male Haim. If you don't know who Haim is, well, you need to. They're like the Christian male version of Haim. Haim is the Jewish female Jonas Brothers. They're the Haim sisters. But you know what I have always known and thought about? So many of the Jonas Brothers songs, like their throwback slow songs, all sound like Christian worship music, which is one of my favorite genres of music. Now, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm Christian. I wouldn't say I'm a worshiper, but Christian worship music, worship. Last time I said worship on the podcast, someone said worship. How are you supposed to say it? Worship? Worship? Worship. Worship. That's how you say it. Worship. Worship. Whatever. I love Christian worship music because it always has a good tune. You can always sing it. Like it's good for my range. And it also just feels good. When you get done just rocking out to a song about God being great, you're like, it's just nice. I used to try and I think I already talked about this. I would like try and out-worship people, like put my hands higher than them, and I would like try to cry to make it seem like God was more in me than them, which really isn't the point, but that's maybe why I'm not a Christian anymore. But I do love Christian, like when I'm on a long car ride, I love listening to preachers on the radio because they have such great timing and delivery. Like they would be really good comedians because they know how to talk in a very captivating way. So I enjoy listening to it, and it's just fun to hear. I'm open-minded. I just like listening to people talk passionately about things. Whether I believe in it or not, it's like, whoa, you really feel this way. Like when people are like, really passionate, it's kind of beautiful. Unless it's like, some like crazy Nazi shit, then, the passion isn't as special. Doesn't really stand out to me. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks, so I think I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown. YouTube should send out like some sort of alert to some like crisis hotline if you watch more than 12 TED Talk videos in a row. There should be some sort of, alert to check on your, welfare. Because I was watching a bunch of those. It's never a good sign. Things aren't going well when you're watching TED Talks. But they're so good. Some of them are too long though. I just need 10 minutes of like, change your life around. Here's how. There was a really good one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt where he talks about the difference between getting attention and paying attention, and how paying attention allows you to be more fulfilled, and getting attention is like a temporary fulfillment that's not real. It was very interesting. And then I listened to him on one of my favorite podcasts, which is Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert. He has such great guests. He had a very interesting episode with Casey Affleck, which I thought was really like he always has like great conversations with these people. He had a really good one with Portugal the Man. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he just has great interviews on there. And they always do this fact check at the very end, so when they like fuck up during the podcast, they like address it at the end, which I think is interesting because so many times I probably say things that are completely inaccurate on here. But yeah, someone asked me on Instagram what my favorite podcasts were, and I would say that's definitely one of them. I don't really listen to podcasts that often, but I do like Dax Shepard's because I feel like I always like learn something or feel like I'm a part of this conversation. And then if I'm on a long car ride and I just need something to keep me awake, Come Town. It's very inappropriate. It's very silly. It's very dumb. Like, so dumb. But it just always makes me laugh because it's just so ridiculous. And that is literally called Come Town. C-U-M. What other podcast do I listen to? I can't even... I wonder what's on my pod. Oh, I used to listen to Tuesdays with Stories a lot, but I just don't really listen to podcasts that often. What normally happens is I'll find someone that I'm really interested in learning about, and then I'll see what podcast they're on, and I usually just look at the one that with a familiar host or something. But there was this TED Talk. Okay, so there's this guy, Jon Ronson, not related to Mark Ronson. Jon Ronson. What's interesting is that I was watching a TED Talk with him, but I realized that I already read one of his books a while ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago when I was working at ArcLight. I read this book called So You've Been Publicly Shamed. And this was before like cancel culture and like, all of that stuff. But it was at the beginning of when people would call others out for like a tweet or something. And so it's focusing on a couple stories of people who tweeted or posted something that got, widely received by the internet as inappropriate, and people lost their jobs. And it's like about why this exists and why people feel, like passionate about, hunting someone down and having them lose their job and all of that stuff over, a tweet or a post or whatever. So I read that book a long time ago, and it was so good. And then I watched his TED Talks. Oh my God, I'm like, and then I was thinking in my head, I'm like watching his TED Talks. I'm thinking about this book he wrote, and I'm like, oh my gosh, not that he would listen to me, but I'm like, I should tell Joe Rogan that he needs this guy on his podcast. Like, this would be the perfect guest for Joe. And then I just YouTube searched Jon Ronson, Joe Rogan, and he has not one, but 2 episodes. I started watching both of them, but haven't finished them. But he's so interesting. God, I love Jon Ronson. He's like British, and he's like really witty and funny, but so smart. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with him. Okay, I need to answer questions and then... Because that's been like, what, almost an hour? Okay, so I'm going to answer some questions. Because you guys asked really good questions this week, which is surprising. Because most of them were like, have you ever tried to lick the underneath side of your knee? And I'm like, who's this for? Also, what I notice is that a lot of people will ask me questions that they want me to answer personally to them, like on Instagram or on my stories so they can see it. But it feels like sometimes it's not people who are listening to the podcast. Because it'll sometimes be questions that I've already talked about. But maybe they just haven't listened. They aren't caught up. But it still is like, just catch the fuck up, okay? Just listen to one, whatever. Okay. What comes to your mind? What comes to mind when you think about Kentucky? Chicken. A lot of white people who like used to like love Taylor Swift before she went liberal. I just imagine it's people who like really identified with early Taylor Swift and now think that she's like, you know, a liberal, what's that word? Shill? Is that the word? People who probably think she's like working for the government to like spread the gay agenda or something. I really want to go to Kentucky though. I just picture like a lot of blonde girls who like love horses and chicken, and I don't know. I don't know, because I imagine it's probably like a little more up to date, but I would like to picture it as like this old western town. Is there a god? If it ain't me, then I don't know. Okay. Was Lana Del Rey's cover of Doin' Time unnecessary? And if not, yes it is. Okay, as a Long Beach native, as a Long Beach purebred, born and raised in the LBC, Lana Del Rey covered one of our national heroes, Sublime. At first I was against it. And I was like, what is this? But it's kind of grown on me. I do kind of like it. It's a nice new flavor to it. But yeah, I really didn't like it at first, and now I kind of do. Summertime and the living's easy. I sometimes I can do a good impression of Lana Del Rey, but then as soon as I start to think about it, or I know that people are going to be watching me do it, I can't, because it suddenly there's like pressure, and I'm like, Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? I would rather fight one horse-sized duck. Obviously. Top 3 favorite energy drinks. Okay. Sugar-free Red Bull. I mean, I really don't like energy drinks. I'll drink a Monster if I'm like riding in a pickup truck or something, or if I'm going to Temecula. And then what's another energy drink? Definitely not Bang. It's so aggressive and I see too many people promoting it. There's another one. Oh no. You know what? I'm going to say sugar-free Red Bull, regular Red Bull, and then one of those low-cal Monsters. Like a blue one or a white one. If the label on the Monster is blue or white, I'll have it. If it's like a brown, absolutely not. People who drink the coffee Monsters are convicted murderers who got out of prison somehow. My sister... Okay, here's the thing. My sisters love me. I love my sisters, but they make me so self-conscious because my sister said that one comment. She only listened because she said she was nervous to listen to my podcast. I don't blame you, bitch. If you can't handle the truth, get the fuck out. That's a quote from Don Barris. But she told me that I'm snotting too much in the podcast. I can't help that. That's who I am. That's part of my allure. That's part of my charm. That's what keeps people entertained. And now I just keep thinking about it. Ugh. It's ruining my confidence in my snot. Ever let your armpit hair go? Okay, here's the thing that bothers me. I'll be with a gentleman, okay? And like right now, I haven't shaved my legs in a couple days, but I'm part Russian, so I'm very hairy. I get a lot of hair, and I'm very light-skinned. I'm super white, and because I'm Russian, my hair is very dark. I have super dark hair and super white skin. So like even when I do shave, you can still see like the little hair follicles, the dark hair follicles. It's so annoying because I can never just have like nice, even skin, whatever. But guys will be like I won't shave my legs for 2 days and it'll be like a little bit stubbly or whatever. I'm not going to shave my legs every single day just to like have what guys think is the more attractive thing. Like, I'm going to shave my legs if we're going to a nice dinner and you're paying. Okay, I'll shave my legs. Or if they've just gotten too long and it just like, and I'm wearing jeans like this where you can see the bottom half of my leg, I'm going to shave that. But I'm not like making any statement. And guys always think like if I'm with a dude and he like touches my leg and there's some stubble, there's a little bit of hair, he'll make some comment about it like, oh, you're one of those girls. I'm like, I'm not trying to, first of all, who cares? Okay. If I'm one of those girls, I'm one of those girls. What does that even mean? Like, I'm some social justice warrior because I haven't shaved my pits in 2 weeks? No. I don't want to shave my pits because I'm just lazy. When I shower, I want to wash my hair. Maybe I want a time crunch in the shower. Oh my God. Ugh. Yeah, so there's been times where I've gone a long time without shaving. It's not to be all empowered in you know, millennial or whatever people assume millennials do. It's just because I don't want to fucking shave, okay? You know how long you have to hold your leg up in the shower and just keep it there and try not to fall? I feel like a fucking gymnast. I'm like one of those Russian gymnasts doing routines across the floor. I'm just posted. It's exhausting, okay? So I'm going to shave for when it really counts and when I really feel like it. I don't do it all the time. I don't need to. I don't care. I'm over it. I'm done caring about stuff like that. I used to think it was so important to have smooth legs or no one would love me. And it's like, people aren't going to love me because I have a shit personality, not because my hair on my legs is a little bit long this week. Okay? What was your favorite childhood snack? Quesadillas. Always. Because I didn't raise myself, but my parents weren't home a lot of the time. We always had tortillas at the house. We always had cheese at the house. We also always had sourdough toast and butter and garlic salt, that garlic powder salt, or like the lemon pepper garlic salt. My dad would always have like an assortment of meats, roast beef, turkey, salami, cocktail onions. What else would we always have at the house? That was kind of like the main things that we had at home. So I would just fuck around and make some wild sandwiches and some boring quesadillas. Floss before you brush or brush before you floss? Sometimes I floss before and after, just if I'm really feeling like American Psycho. At the dentist, here's what they do. They always, what do they do? Now I'm blanking. Because they don't really like brush your teeth at the dentist. They just buff your teeth essentially. But they always floss at the very end, which I find weird. Because I think you'd want to get all that gunk out and then brush it to really make sure it's out. So because I'm not sure, I kind of overkill and do it before and after. I love flossing. I don't do it often. And I just use those picks, which I know isn't the best, but oh, it feels so good. When it's bleeding, come on. Nothing feels better than a bloody mouth. Get a little mercury in there. It's good. Savory or sweet tooth? I always thought I was savory for a very long time, and then I was with my friend Hannah, and we were on a long drive, and she was like, oh, I'm like she was saying that she's such a savory person, and I was like, me too, and then I'm naming all of these foods and things that I like to eat, and she was like, oh, that's like a sweet flavor. That's a sweet flavor. So I'm an idiot, and I also now apparently I have both. I like both. If I'm kind of sad, savory's good. It makes me feel comforted on the inside. But I do like sweet things as well, so whatever. I don't know. I'm diverse. I'm sensory diverse. I like savory and sweet. How long can you hold your breath? I don't know. I used to be on swim for a year in high school, and you have to like learn how to control your breathing. And I used to be good, but probably from drooling, I've lost my lung capacity from smoking. I want to get a dog. Someone asked if I have a pet. My roommate has a dog. She's very old and she won't be with us for much longer, which is what I've been saying for the past 4 years that I've lived there. She's old, but she's still there. I really want to get a dog. I'm just worried that I wouldn't be able to pay it enough attention or that it would be a distraction, I wouldn't be able to like do certain things because I would have to care for this dog. And if I have a dog, I want to be able to like give it 100%. Do you get involved in any of those crazy diets, keto, etc.? Kind of. I go on and off, but I never care enough to stick to it. I just like eating what I like to eat. What I do is I kind of try and stay like aware of what I'm eating. So if I've already had like if I didn't have anything for breakfast, but then I had like a cheeseburger for lunch, I'm going to try and stay away from dairy and meat for dinner. So maybe I'll do like a nice salad for dinner and maybe some vegetables. Like I try and do that, like have some sort of balance, but I don't know. I've weighed the same since freshman year of high school. But I carry weight differently. So sometimes I like look fat in the face, but I'll be the exact same weight. Sometimes I'll look fat in the thighs or the stomach and skinny in the face. I don't know. It always changes. I don't really care. I'm going to get fat though. I'm going to get really big. I just know it. I think around like 32, it's just all going to catch up with me. Not that I'm like super small right now. I'm pretty like average, but I think, yeah, it's definitely going to hit me. And I'm just going to gain a bunch of weight. Pretty stoked. Are you glad that thick eyebrows are fashionable now? Yes, absolutely. My mom was ahead of the curve because my mom, ever since I was little, told me not to touch my eyebrows. And when I'm getting them waxed or going to get them done, to tell them to just like clean them up and like don't do any shape. Like don't do any arch or anything like that. Just clean up the stray hairs. And I had so many friends who just over tweezed their eyebrows and now they don't grow back. So I'm pretty grateful. I don't care that it's a trend or not. I just think it looks better for my face to have thick. I in high school I made the mistake of getting them really thin and it looks weird on my face. Like people like to like joke around about my thick ass eyebrows, but it does look weird when I have thin eyebrows. Cuz I got a big ass face. Favorite musicians. Currently Portugal the Man, Borns. Let me look at my Spotify. I am going to make a public I'm going to make some sort of public playlist that people can listen to soon. Cuz people sometimes like my music. Or not people sometimes, I should say some people like my music that I post on my Instagram stories. There's this band that isn't doing stuff together right now, but I just found out about them. And what if I was like, Oasis? There's this band that's not together right now. They're called Atlas Wind. Atlas Wind. WYND. They have this song called Shell Shock that I really like, and then all of their other music is really entertaining. I just found out about Two Boy Army, which is an older band, but yeah, Borns, Portugal the Man, Atlas Wind. What other things do I have on my Jonas Brothers? That concert was such a throwback. So many girls there. They changed the men's restroom into women's restrooms. That's how many women were there. And I realized that women are the best audience. I've never been to a concert that had that much energy in the crowd. Like, people were going crazy after every single song and during every single song. And you know that one song by the Jonas Brothers where it's like Joe and Nick are singing because Kevin doesn't sing? Poor Kevin, really just kind of the odd man out. I think the fourth Jonas, the bonus Jonas, is more known. That's not true. That's rude. I'm sorry. K Tronada is another. Who else? Okay. What was I saying? Jonas Brothers. Oh yeah, they have that song "Burnin' Up." That's what they close the show with. It was so good. But there's this part where Joe is pretty much singing all the lines, and then Nick is following him up. So Joe will be like high heels, and then Joe will say high heels, and then Nick will be like high heels, and then Joe's like red dress, and there's this thing where he's like red dress. And it's like been made a meme so many times. So I start filming as soon as that song starts, waiting for Nick to do the red dress. Because I'm like, obviously he knows that everyone makes fun of how hard he goes on that part when he's just doing like the backup vocal. And as soon as it came on, he was like, Joe's like, red dress. And Nick just puts the fucking mic out to the audience and everyone's like, red dress. Gorillas. I like Gorillas. I don't know, it always changes. I always go through like phases of stuff that I like. I feel like I should answer like 2 more questions and then just call it quits. Oh, what I really need to say. Will this be the first time doing shows in London? No. I was there in March. I had a great time, so I decided to go back. This time I'm doing new venues that I've never done before, which I'm really excited about, and shows I've never done before. What's really important is I'm headlining. I'm doing my own show at Angel Comedy Club, the Bill Murray Theater. The Bill Murray Theater on the 20th, I believe. Let me just double check. It's on my website, alimacofsky.com/shows. Okay, yes. Sunday, October 20th, at the Bill Murray Theater. It's a small venue. Tell all your friends if they live in the greater London area. 5:30 p.m. I'm running a long set. I'm headlining. I'm going to have a couple people open the show, but it would mean a lot to me if you came to that one. Fuck the rest of the shows. But yeah, okay. I think that's it. I'm going to say that that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Great. That went by real nice and smooth. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. That's it. I don't know what else to say. Come see me in London. I'll be there. Oh, okay. I'll be in London next week, and I'll be gone for 10 days, but I won't be recording new episodes of this. I have pre-recorded guest episodes, so the next 2 episodes of Resting Bitch will include guests, so enjoy that, and bye. Thank you. Can't tell where I am the way you begin. Yeah. I check myself at every door. Could there be more?